If you're just tuning in and you don't know, Wisconsin Live Desk is pretty cool. We are doing just whatever is going on nationwide, in the community, or even worldwide, seeing what feeds are going on behind me and bringing you the latest news of just kind of what's happening, and this is all live. So right now, I do want to check in really quickly. President Trump is hosting a meeting with South Korea's new president. I just want to take a quick listen in. So this is about a trade summit, and I believe the South Korean president just arrived at the White House about a little under an hour ago. The two just had some talks, so let's listen in right now to see where they stand.
Country anywhere in the world by far. We are the hottest country in the world by far. Okay, another question.
One more on the president.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah. President Lee met with the Japanese Prime Minister before this summit.
That's good.
So is there something to discuss regarding the cooperation among the South Korea, US, and Japan?
I think so. Look, Japan is a great ally of us, and I had a little bit of a hard time getting you two together because you're still thinking about comfort women, right? Comfort women. That's all they wanted to talk about was comfort women. And I thought that was settled a few times over the decades. But there is an overlapping problem with that. Perhaps I'm wrong in saying it. Perhaps this isn't right, but the whole issue of the women, comfort women, very specifically, we talked, and that was a very big problem for Korea, not for Japan. Japan wanted to go. They want to get on, but Korea was very stuck on that. You understand? So I don't know. Perhaps you'd like to answer. It's a good question. It was hard getting Japan and Korea together because of what took place a long time ago. But Japan wants to do it, I can say. Korea is a little bit more tenuous, please.
지금 질문은 그 3자 협력에 대해서.
우리 한미일 협력은 매우 중요한 과제고 또 한미 관계의 발전을 위해서도 한일 관계가 어느 정도 수습이 돼야 됩니다.
Trilateral cooperation among Korea, the U.S., and Japan is very important, and better Korea-Japan relations is also important for the Korea-U.S. relationship as well.
그래서 대통령께서 한미일 협력을 매우 중시하고 계시기 때문에 제가 대통령을 뵙기 전에 미리 일본과 만나서 대통령께서 걱정하실 문제를 다 미리 정리했다 이렇게 생각해 주시면 좋겠습니다.
Because I know that President Trump, that you put emphasis on trilateral cooperation,
Right.
I made a visit to Japan before coming to the U.S. to settle the difficult issues that we have.
Well, Japan wants to get along very well with you, and I find them to be great people, great country, obviously, and they want very much to get along with South Korea. And you have something in common. You know, you want to solve the North Korea problem. But Japan very much wants to get along with you, and I'm sure they will. I find the people that I deal with to be wonderful people, as I do with you.
한국과 마찬가지입니다. 이번에 일본에 가서 이시바 총리를 만났을 때 그 전에 우리가 가지고 있던 여러 장애 요소들이 많이 제거됐다는 생각이 듭니다.
So when I visited Japan and met with Prime Minister Ishiba, I realized that many of the obstacles that existed between our two countries have now been removed.
True. During my term, we removed them during my term. There was an overlay a little bit, but we removed many of those obstacles during my term. And if you look at Prime Minister Abe, who was a great man, he was a great friend of mine, and he was assassinated. But he felt very warmly toward your country, I can tell you that. And the current Prime Minister, who I've gotten to know very well, feels the same way. So I think you're going to have a great relationship with Japan. Steve, go ahead.
Just to close the loop on Gaza, is there a diplomatic push underway to try to get all this to end?
Oh, there's a diplomatic push.
No, is there?
There has been, yeah, sure. Right now, Steve, I would say very serious diplomatic push. Marco or Steve? Marco, do you want to answer that first?
Yeah, it's never stopped. We've always looked to find a solution there. Ultimately, as the president said, we want it to end. It has to end with no Hamas.
Thank you, sir.
Steve, where are we? I would say that we wouldn't be anywhere but for the president's truth last week, which was a statement to Hamas that they better get their act together and get to the peace table. But for that, it would have been all stalled. So, as usual, he is the man who moves it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Head out. Head out. Start moving. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you. Straight out the door. Thanks, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Thanks, guys. Sales, let's go. TV, let's go. Come on, come on. Come on, guys. Let's go. Head out. Head out. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Keep going. Thanks, guys. This way. Thank you. Keep going. Keep going. We're out. We're out. Thank you, guys. Out the door. Thank you.
Richardson, if you want to hold in there until we get a wrangler.
All right, we were just checking in right there on that meeting with President Donald Trump and also the president of South Korea. That was about trade. They also talked a little, I'm just taking some notes right now and just kind of giving you a quick synopsis of what happened. But basically, South Korea's president is asking President Trump to bring some of the peace to the Korean Peninsula. They went on to talk a little bit more about President Trump sharing how he threatened not to do business with Seoul. So there was a lot going on that we just kind of dipped into for that in-person meeting between him and that liberal president. So they're expected to flesh out some of those details between the two countries. Apparently, Seoul has invested hundreds of billions of dollars into the U.S., and the agreement tariffs on South Korean goods now at 15% after Trump threatened a 25% tariff, raising it. He also mentioned that he plans to travel to China later this year. There was a little bit of talk while they were in there in terms of the Putin-Zelensky situation. Trump says that it does remain unclear if President Putin and Zelensky will continue to meet. So that was just kind of the brief ending that we caught there. So we'll have some more details of that coming up later. There's not really much going on around now that I wanted to talk about in terms of pressing, but what is pressing, I think, are some of the measles cases that's happening right now. So if we can just bring up some of the newest information that we have regarding measles in the area, I mean Wisconsin, actually. So the DHS has really identified 5 additional cases of measles. Now, this is in Oconto County. Those additional cases are actually linked to 9 cases confirmed in the county on August 2nd, but this is bringing up the number of measles cases to 14. So really, you know, a lot of folks are on edge. We spoke with some folks who were at the fair in Oconto County saying, you know, they were trying to live life as normal as possible, but still understand folks are going to be in these highly populated environments. If you didn't know, measles is a really highly contagious disease. It can be spread from person to person through the air and stay in the air, actually, for 2 hours after a sick person coughs or sneezes. When in terms of what you'll feel, some of the symptoms, perhaps. Symptoms of measles typically appear about 10 to 21 days after exposure. You could take a look right there on your screen. Some of the symptoms and complications can include runny nose, a high fever, maybe more than 104 degrees, tiredness, cough, red, watery eyes. Some may think it looks like a pink eye or something like that. A red rash with raised bumps that starts at the hairline and then moves to the arms and legs, basically about 3 to 5 days after the symptoms begin. The DHS said measles can really cause serious health complications, including pneumonia, brain damage, and even deafness, and could really be deadly. What you can do, that's what we want you to do. So this is what you need to do. The DHS says, please, if you develop any of these symptoms that you see right here on your screen, please stay home. Don't go to work, school, shopping, or use public transportation. Call the doctor's office or a clinic before visiting so they can take precautions just to ensure the other patient's safety and to not expose other people to the virus. I know this is a little concerning here. These numbers go to 14 right now, especially as we're, you know, having a lot of college kids move in, school's about to start in close environments. So obviously, once again, measles can be prevented with the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. So according to DHS, though, the better news, 2 doses of the measles vaccine are 97% effective at preventing disease. I want to take a break because I also feel as though we can come back on camera. It's okay. I think we're going to have some updates with the Abrego Garcia case coming up. We do have Jason Calvi learning a little bit more about the shelters being provided. What's the next steps for FEMA when it comes to some of the help happening with the flooding situation. We do have Christina Van Zelt on deck dealing with the family of a deadly police chase that happened, an innocent bystander that was the victim of an incident over the weekend. So still lots to come this afternoon on Fox Local and Wisconsin Live Desk. So I'm going to take a quick break and be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm Derica Williams, who's kind of manning the controls today. Coming up next, I wanted to go to New York right now, and that's where we're going to hear from a New York Attorney General, Letitia James. She's joining some elected officials right now in Syracuse, announcing new measures to protect seniors and other vulnerable New Yorkers. So I want to take a listen in to hear what they're saying right now.
Speak out and hold every institution accountable for the care our loved ones so deserve. Thank you.
I also want to thank your children who are here in the front row. Thank them for being here. Thank you so much. And I have some treats for you in the back. I also would like to welcome Assemblymember Pamela Hunter, a tireless fighter for the people of Syracuse who represents the district where Van Dam is located. Assemblymember.
Thank you for sharing your story. Some of the calls we receive actually mirror almost everything that you mentioned. My parent fell and was on the floor for hours. My parents spent hours in urine or soiled clothes. We received many calls about that. My loved one was supposed to get medication at a certain time. They did not. Similar. My parent had unexplained injuries. We've seen many pictures of those. These are egregious acts by the management and staff of Van Dyne, putting profits over patients, the people that they are supposed to be caring for. Our loved ones, they're not invisible, they're not forgotten, and they are not a burden. I applaud the Attorney General for her relentless efforts, protecting our most vulnerable and holding accountable those who prey on them. We appreciate your efforts. The town of Onondaga appreciates your efforts up there at Van Dyne. It's unfortunate that you have to keep having to do these investigations and holding those accountable, but appreciate your efforts and stand with you. Thank you, Attorney General.
And now my good friend, State Senator Chris Ryan. He has truly been a champion for the people of Syracuse, particularly when he returns to Albany. I thank him for all of his hard work. Senator.
Thank you, Attorney General. Such hard work, and it's great work, and thank you for doing it. So what happened at Van Dyne is heartbreaking and infuriating. Families entrusted this facility with the care of their loved ones, only to see that trust betrayed while owners pocketed millions in taxpayer dollars. Seniors, Syracuse seniors, Onondaga County seniors and their families deserve dignity, safety, and compassion, not neglect and abuse. And that's the message here. Neglect and abuse, well, the corporation profited millions. Over a decade ago, I want to say it was about 13 years ago, as a member of the county legislator, I opposed this privatization. And I opposed the privatization because the company that came in to buy this, I believe, sold us a bill of goods. I didn't believe it then. Fast forward over the decade, and what I said was correct. It was one of the best votes I ever took not to privatize this facility because Onondaga County residents needed the safety net, the last chance of care, if you will. And this company has turned their backs on that. We're not going to blame the employees, the nursing staff, everybody. I blame the company who have taken millions and millions and millions of dollars and left people to die and or sit in their urine. It's terrible, and I am so glad as a state senator that I can help change this, and we can give the Attorney General the necessary tools that office needs to do, that Attorney General James will continue to do, and I'm happy to fight for it, and we're going to continue what these corporations, these for-profit, need to understand, that you're not going to get away with it. Not under the Attorney General's watch and not under our watch. So it's a terrible, terrible story, but we're getting there, and it's about time we started holding this corporate greed and this for-profit care accountable. Thank you very much.
I want to thank both the Assembly member and the Senator and the state legislature for passing two bills. One that would increase staffing ratios at nursing homes, and the second bill that would basically require that additional profits be put back into the nursing home. Those two bills have been in litigation. The industry has challenged those bills. They've challenged them on constitutional grounds and a wide range of other issues. But those bills withstood the test, and now hopefully we can continue. We can make sure that there are proper staff ratios, and that any profit be put back into the nursing home. Now I'd like to introduce a dedicated public servant, obviously, who works on behalf of the people of the great city of Syracuse each and every day, Deputy Mayor Sharon Owens.
Thank you, Attorney General James. It is no secret that Van Dyne Nursing Home and Rehabilitation Facility is a critical facility for the people of Syracuse. So many individuals or their family members who don't have many options have sought Van Dyne for the place for their nursing care or rehabilitation care. And I echo what the Assemblywoman has said. Our office receives calls for individuals. My parent is there. I've been there. And the care was just not insufficient. It was just completely not up to the standards that anyone would expect from a facility caring for the most needy of our community. Again, I join everyone behind me applauding Attorney General James, and once again taking the lead to hold those accountable who we trust to care for our most vulnerable. I'm so thrilled to hear that there will be some accountability and there will be some oversight to ensure that the conditions in that facility take a complete turnaround and care for the individuals that entrust it to care for themselves and their family members. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank all of the individuals in Mafuku who are here in the audience. I truly appreciate all of their work. And now we will take on-topic questions. So there'll be a healthcare monitor and a financial monitor. The financial monitor will be responsible for the implementation of the $10 million that will be placed in a fund for the purposes of addressing the conditions as well as staffing issues. And the healthcare fund will make recommendations to the owners as well. If they fail to honor those recommendations, you could be assured that we will monitor the situation and will take further legal action. I'm sorry, could you speak up a little louder? So again, we've been in touch with a number of family members who have family members here at Van Dyne. In fact, there are over 498 residents at Van Dyne at this point in time. We will monitor the situation. We will work with the healthcare monitor. We will work with the financial monitor. The monitors will be in place as long as they are needed and as long as there is money in the fund. It's really critically important that there is injunctive relief that is part of this settlement, and we, the Office of Mafuku, as well as the Office of the Attorney General, will monitor the situation and be in touch with family members who are concerned about the conditions of their loved ones.
All right, we were just hearing from New York City officials really concerned about their conditions of loved ones and vulnerable seniors in that area. That was a press conference that we just heard from the Attorney General there, Letitia James, and also some of the officials. In the past, James has really taken on some action on behalf of the Syracuse area seniors in several key areas, particularly housing, housing conditions, scams. Her office has even filed lawsuits and secured settlements aimed at protecting vulnerable seniors. So we were just hearing some stories and some progress about that. But a little closer to home, I want to shift gears a little bit and share some news from the Red Cross. If we can bring up some information right now. This is some pretty helpful information. Their outreach is set to begin. So the Red Cross announced Saturday that it's begun financial assistance outreach for the peoples whose homes were destroyed or even really sustained major structural damage as a result of flooding across southeastern Wisconsin. So as you know, damage assessments have been kind of determining which house were most severely impacted. And eligibility for assistance is limited. Not all residents will qualify. So here's what they're saying. Basically, their priority is to connect with every family facing major damage from the floods and make sure they know help is available. The chief executive officer said in a statement, "We are committed to walking alongside our neighbors in the recovery process. The financial support is designed to help families overcome significant roadblocks to recovery with the organization." Eligibility and assistance, once again, is limited. Not all residents will qualify. So I wanted to see if there was some information here on what you can do. Well, let's take a looky look. All right. So they're going to begin reaching out to specific peoples whose homes were affected, destroyed, starting tomorrow. So that's going to happen tomorrow, the 26th. Those residents will receive an invitation to then apply for financial support via email, text, phone, from the Red Cross if they have the qualifying damage. Recipients are encouraged to follow the instructions provided to complete their case application. And for all of those who the Red Cross has not yet been able to contact, the organization said assistance is still available. Impacted residents, take a look right there on the screen, can go to Visit Red Cross website or call 1-800-RED-CROSS, and then you can provide the information and begin the application process. QR codes also are linking to the website, and those will be available that you'll see in different flyers and business cards that will be distributed around. So to ensure also equitable access, The Red Cross said it's working closely with community leaders and nonprofit partners to reach residents who are heavily impacted in those areas who may not have received direct communication. So once again, this reach out is starting tomorrow on Tuesday. You'll get that invitation to apply. And for more disaster assistance and recovery support, go to visit the Red Cross website or go to 1-800-RED-CROSS. We have a lot going on, hearing stories about folks who are flooded out, homes, businesses. And coming up in just a short bit, I want to see if we can get our Jason Calvi right now. He is trying to learn more information about what are the next steps for the disaster and also sheltering. There's going to be a press conference coming up for emergency shelters and volunteers. So we're going to take a quick break and talk a little bit more about the flooding impacting our area and the next steps to help folks in our area, basically. We'll be right back, so stay with me.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon. I'm Derica Williams, manning the Wisconsin Live Desk. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. If you're just tuning in, Wisconsin Live Desk basically is everything and anything kind of going on live around our area, around the country. You could see all these live feeds behind me. I can just pretty much pull up what's going on and just kind of tap in to see the latest news in different areas. Just a moment ago, I was sharing with you about the Red Cross and the efforts tomorrow to start helping provide funds to give to those who are affected by the flood. Before we get to Jason Calvi, who is our reporter for this afternoon, I just wanted to give an update on the flood recovery, if we could share some of those details, because it seems as though the cost is just kind of growing by the day. There are some cleanup resources still available. Curbside pickup and drop-off center services have been extended to August 31st. Free bulk item as well. The drop-off center is 3879 West Lincoln. And then also 6660 North Industrial Road. Officials note that the crews have really been working steadily to address the damage and to assist residents with cleanup. When it comes to the recovery update, local governments are spending a lot of money on overtime. Officials with Milwaukee's DPW actually estimate the extra costs are from $20,000 to $60,000 a day. The city's 2 garbage drop-off centers have already been swamped, and officials say more than 14,000 vehicles have passed through these centers. And city crews are still picking up the bulk items at thousands of homes. I think the last check, it was about more than 9,000 homes that they visited. Mayor Cavalier Johnson had released some statements saying that FEMA representatives have been here. They've been conducting the first review of some of the storm damage, and it's part of the process as we seek the disaster designation. He said ultimately the disaster declaration is not a decision that they can make, and those of us there are still trying to determine exclusively. Obviously, the President of the United States will make the final decision on that. But county leaders are really asking for swift action. Those details up there on our screen of how they're trying to help. But in the meantime, the county executive and the county's 19 mayors also wrote a letter to FEMA urging the agency to act quickly. They say local governments are estimated to spend millions rather, to clean up the mess. So they're trying to deal with that right now. Meanwhile, the mayor and Milwaukee Public Health Department have been handing out cleanup kits for people who are dealing with flooding. The Milwaukee Public Library branches will also be offering some personal protective equipment. N95 masks will be available to residents and offer, just a little bit, some protection from those airborne particles, including the mold spores. The mayor has also drawn some attention to illegal dumping. So on your screen right now is how they want you to go about it the proper way of dealing with the cleanup. He said he heard some people are trying to take advantage of that flood recovery situation. He said this shouldn't happen, guys. Don't do that. This is just for flood victims only, those who have maybe had some issues with things getting ruined from the storm, whether it be the rain. This is not just a dumping site. He said this shouldn't happen, especially when they're making extra efforts to have extended hours and things like that. And especially when it's also free. This is a free service that they're doing to help folks who need the extra. Just think about, perhaps your elderly neighbor or someone who doesn't have the ability to do this all themselves. So these are city services meant to help those really in need. So they said he shouldn't happen in terms of the illegal dumping. It's out of line. It's unacceptable. He said if you are caught doing it, you will be cited. So just a note for that. So as we wait for, I just want to check in real quick. I know we'll come back to that, but let me just check in real quick too. Jason, to see if I can hear any chatter or what's going on, because that is, I'll raise the volume over here so you guys can take a listen in. Okay, just a little peek. So that's where he's at right now. He is at the Urgent Sheltering Task Force public appeal, basically, for additional emergency shelters and volunteers. So this is happening right now near the West Side Partners at Concordia 27th in their community event room. In a short while, we should be hearing from the fire chief, Aaron Lipsky, the mayor of Milwaukee, Cavalier Johnson, county executive, several other people here, state senators, state representatives. So the real issue that's going to be happening here that you're going to hear more information about, the city of Milwaukee, I can lower the volume here as they check. We could just keep a little listening, but I'll lower to see if I can hear them pop in. They're doing a couple mic checks. But what's going to happen here is the city has really seen a decline in available shelter for those who are displaced by fires and other unplanned disasters, as well as also trained volunteers to staff them. I'm sure this need is even more as some folks are literally without their homes after some of the damage that we've received after the storm. So in an effort to combat these crisis level situations, Milwaukee's Fire Chief Aaron Lipsky, along with the Red Cross, who I just spoke about, who is going to be going door to door tomorrow helping folks, as well as the Milwaukee County Office of Emergency Management, are spearheading this urgent sheltering task force with members that are kind of crossing multiple jurisdictions, departments, agencies, and nonprofit organizations. They said that this task force has worked really, really hard to brainstorm and to prepare a dashboard, which means that they were going to gather information and have it, accessible and available for sheltering options. They say that they're extremely optimistic that with the support of the elected officials, that they'll be able to have this appeal amplified throughout their connectivity with the districts to have a really good effect. So they said having such shelters at the ready is really critical to ensure those who are displaced from their homes due to an unforeseen tragedy are safe. And not just that, but you know how it is. You need food. You want to find ways to get assistance. I think we're about to hear from the fire chief right now. I'm going to pull his volume up and listen in. You know, as we're all... Okay, well, there he goes. We'll wait for him to come back. But, you know, as folks kind of rebuild their lives over these post-traumatic events, we need these resources. Let me take a little bit of the volume right here. So, you know, even more so with this recent flooding that left so many people displaced, we're hoping that this can give some immediate action, and also, once again, that dashboard to gather all of these resources available for sheltering options. So on top of that, please help if you can. You know, I think this is really a time that we've seen people step up for their neighbors, whether it be helping clean out basements, giving folks food, because don't forget, power was out. So people lost food, shelter and pantries lost food. So in so many different ways, we're seeing the community kind of come together to be there for each other. So as neighbors are helping neighbors, this is more of a concerted and official effort to be able to supply these shelters, and not just for the storms, but once again, for anyone kind of dealing. Let me take a quick listen. I'm going to lower my volume and hear what's going on in their background.
We appreciate it. Yes. You kind of own the place. Yeah.
So, are you going to introduce him?
I'll except I'm sure you guys have your own little thing. Right? Hey.
If you're just tuning in right now, you're seeing our Milwaukee Fire Chief Aaron Lipsky just greet several members of the county. There's the mayor, there's a county executive, some state senators and representatives. This is regarding the urgent sheltering task force and their public appeal for additional emergency shelters and volunteers.
I think we probably want to get underway here so that our friends who have to go back and cut stories can actually go do that. I'm Aaron Lipsky, the Fire Chief, City of Milwaukee Fire Department, and we've got a ton of folks here that are going to say things way more important than myself here today. We're gathered here today to help people. We are here to help people who, forever, whenever someone suffers tragedy in this city and their home becomes uninhabitable or is completely destroyed, they got to go somewhere. And the American Red Cross has always been just a fantastic partner for us, but even the American Red Cross can run into difficult times, either with volunteerism or available shelter space. And so I'm not going to belabor that point, but what I do want to say is we rely, as the fire department, so heavily upon the American Red Cross and a whole bunch of other system partners that when we see them feeling the strain, we feel like we should step up and help. And so between the City of Milwaukee Fire Department, Milwaukee County Office of Emergency Management, and the American Red Cross, we're like a year and a half or so into, maybe 2 years into, how do we solve this problem? How do we get volunteerism up? How do we find more shelter spaces? And this is part of that solution finding. So I just can't say thank you enough to the folks that have gathered here today, and to Northwest Side Partners for hosting us. I'm going to step away. I'll introduce folks, and I want to say thanks to some other folks that have gathered here in a minute. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce the mayor of our fine city, Cavalier Johnson.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Chief, for working to gather this distinguished group of public servants here to bring attention to this really, really important issue. So even without the recent flooding, all of us would still be standing here today to make a plea for more emergency shelter and for more volunteers, too. But obviously, recent events have really highlighted the need for those things here in this community. Some of those recent events have also highlighted the needy, the people who need these sort of services, people who are unsheltered. Now, we've all seen the shock and the tears in the eyes of folks who have been affected by those floods, folks who have been displaced from their homes after the historic flooding we've seen in our community. The trauma is enormous, and the sadness is really, really deep. I mean, And I've had the opportunity to be out to speak to a number of folks all throughout Milwaukee who've been affected, and it's real. It's really challenging for citizens out there across our community. These are our neighbors. These are people, again, in our community, and in numerous emergency cases, all these folks, they need a place to go, a safe place to go. We can't leave our neighbors without assistance, though. That's where all of us come in. That's where the partnerships that the chief was just talking about, that's where those things come in. Milwaukee Public Schools has been a huge help, a tremendous help with shelter space at Marshall High School, and I really appreciate MPS for stepping up. I was just with the superintendent just this morning on another matter, and really appreciate the partnership that we have with Milwaukee Public Schools. But unfortunately, though, that's not a lasting situation. School is starting just a week from tomorrow, so that space at Marshall High School will need to be released so that kids can get back to learning in school. So, look, the need for shelter is deadly serious. Now, at least 2 people drowned here in Milwaukee during those flooding events. A 48-year-old Juan Carlos Sierra Campos was found the morning of August 10th, and 4 days later, a 72-year-old male, Isaiah Cerna, was found near Port Milwaukee. Now, both of these men apparently were unhoused individuals, and that circumstance may have been a part of the reason why they ended up losing their lives, again, during the flooding events that happened. I want all of our neighbors to be sheltered and to be sheltered safely before a crisis, and not just before a crisis, but after a crisis happens as well. I want everyone within the sound of my voice to think, really take an account about how you might be able to assist, how you might be able to help in situations like these as they arise. Once again, we're looking for partners because I believe in the power of partnerships, and together, in partnership, I know that we can solve these problems together. So I'll pass it back to Chief Lipsky. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and also my privilege and honor to introduce Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to Chief Aaron Lipsky as well as Concordia 27 for hosting us to be here today. And as many of you know, over the past weeks, we have witnessed the devastation of what an unexpected natural disaster can really bring to our community. And at too many of our neighbors, they've seen not only their homes severely damaged, but quite frankly, they've been destroyed from the floods that we've seen, leaving them not only displaced, but unable to return to their homes. And it's in moments like this that really gives me hope, because we've seen how not only people, but organizations have really stepped up to really provide care for one another. And the American Red Cross of Wisconsin truly embodies that spirit of service as well as care in our community. But that's why we also believe this particular partnership with the American Red Cross of Wisconsin has been extremely crucial to our response efforts as it relates to the disaster. Not only do they help to provide food, health services, financial assistance, as well as emotional support, but something that is absolutely critical in the wake of a crisis, and that is safe and temporary shelter. In Milwaukee County, we are proud to partner with the American Red Cross, opening up our community centers as well as our senior centers to provide safe spaces for temporary housing. But in the immediate aftermath of the recent floods and storms, the Red Cross, they quickly mobilized, particularly at Haller Park Lodge and the Washington Park Senior Center, to care for residents where there were nowhere else for them to actually turn. And so I'm extremely appreciative not only of their professionalism, but the respect that they have for our spaces that we all share, but most importantly, the dignity and the compassion that they continuously extend to the residents who have been displaced during this challenging time. But we also know that county-owned community centers, our senior centers, cannot always meet those who are in need. There are not enough spaces, and quite frankly, these spaces are not necessarily in the right places during a particular crisis. And so the bottom line is this: we need more safe and accessible shelter locations throughout the community, so when emergencies like the floods that happen, we're prepared. And so whether you have access to churches, schools, gyms, and other large community centers, we know that those particular places can quickly be transformed into temporary shelter when a disaster happens. And so we want to encourage all the organizations who have spaces to open up. But we also want to encourage folks to volunteer, to step up, sign up with organizations like the American Red Cross to figure out how you can give your time, talent, and treasure back to our community. And so we want folks to understand that by opening your doors, especially in times of crisis, that you can help to provide more of our residents with not only safety, but some stability and they hope that they need during the hardest times in their lives. And so I've said it before, but I will absolutely say it again, as the mayor also said, is that, partnerships are essential and they're vital to us building a healthier, safe, and a more prepared community. And so together with partners like the Red Cross, our community partners all across Milwaukee County, we know that the strength is in this community and that we can make sure that emergencies like this, that we're prepared, not just for Milwaukee County, but for all of the residents and those who love to come enjoy themselves in our community. So I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for stepping up. And let's continue to work on behalf of those who have been extremely impacted by these floods.
Very much appreciate the outpouring of support for this effort. On the fire department, we are front row seat to the creation of the need, right? Either fires or sweeping natural disasters like we're recovering from right now. And for me, even interacting with the American Red Cross so much, I always just assumed they have like secret warehouses just ready with staff and everything's all prepared. And as it turns out, the American Red Cross is 99.9% run by volunteers. And the shelter services rely so heavily on volunteers, and the shelter spaces are businesses or faith-based organizations or community groups that have volunteered their space. So it's really kind of an incredible thing. We vow to do our best to not create more people that need to go out into the street, and we do that by good fire prevention and emergency management and whatnot, but things do happen, and the need we're learning in these past few years definitely is still here. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce to you somebody that you are going to want to get to know here. She is the Red Cross of Wisconsin's new Chief Executive Officer, and boy, I tell you what, not afraid to make a phone call. I like it. Kat Ravenstein, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Chief. I cannot thank everyone enough for being here today and speaking on this together. When disaster strikes, whether it's a home fire, flood, or another emergency, one of the most urgent needs is a safe place to stay, a place where people can catch their breath, gather their thoughts, and begin to recover. With the support of our volunteers and community partners, the American Red Cross of Wisconsin is proud to provide that shelter, but too often, the space we find is far from the neighborhood where the disaster happened. That means families are separated from schools, jobs, transportation, and the support systems they rely on to recover. It makes an already difficult time even harder. Last year alone, we opened 15 emergency shelters, providing more than 1,700 overnight stays using just 5 locations. In Milwaukee, the need is especially urgent. While we have 14 shelter partner facilities across the city, only 2 are located on the north side, where most apartment fires occur and where flooding recently hit the hardest. We are so grateful to the schools, churches, and community centers that have already stepped up, like Marshall High School, Washington Park Senior Center, Holler Park, and St. Paul's Lutheran Church. But we need to grow this network so that no family has to wait for safety. If you're a leader at a school, a house of worship, a gym, or a community organization, we ask you to consider becoming a shelter partner. We're looking for large indoor spaces like gyms or cafeterias that can house at least 50 people with restrooms, heating, power, and accessibility. If you think your organization might be able to serve as a shelter partner, please contact us at milwaukeeshelters@redcross.org. We'd love to talk with you and explore what's possible. Thank you especially to the civic and community leaders who are here today.
We're going to get into some of the more technical stuff here, and we do have a couple more speakers, but I want to just acknowledge, again, we have a very, very robust and diverse group of folks here from all different areas.
All right, we just heard from, that was our fire chief, Aaron Lipsky, and several folks with the county. So basically, there's an urgent need, and the sheltering task force is trying to have a public appeal for additional spaces and volunteers. Obviously, there were so many people not only just impacted by this flooding, but regularly just disasters that happen, whether it could be a fire or something. As you know, we had 2 people who were already unhoused die after these floodings. So, you know, they're saying perhaps lives can be saved by this emergency shelter, but they're trying to appeal to the public. So they're trying to have this partnership. And right now they're asking for partners with large indoor spaces that can house about 50 people or more with heat and a bathroom to be able to partake in this. If you can, go to milwaukeeshelters.redcross.org. They want all neighbors that we have to be able to be housed and have that emergency assistance. We'll have more details when we come back, but I do have to take a quick break. So just give us a quick moment and we'll have more Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon. I'm Derica Williams, and welcome back to Wisconsin Live Desk, where we're just kind of taking a look at different things going on in our area, around the country, pertinent news that's happening live right now to you. We do have one of our reporters, Christina Van Zeltz. I want to go live out to her in just a moment. Over the weekend, I think I may have mentioned earlier, there was a police chase in Milwaukee. It ended in a fatal crash, and now the driver is still on the loose and the family is speaking out. I want to go to Christina right now, who has the latest details on this situation. All right, Christina, good morning, or good afternoon rather now. Christina, what can you share with us?
Yeah, hey Derica, you mentioned this happened over the weekend. I actually covered this last night as well. Following up, but for people who aren't familiar with the story, I'll kind of walk you through what happened. So Milwaukee police say that on Saturday night around 7:40 p.m. they were trying to pull over somebody wanted in connection to a shooting. We do not know at this time, or police rather haven't told us what their connection to that shooting was and when this shooting happened. But nonetheless, they were trying to pull over that driver. That driver took off. That started a police chase, which ultimately ended near 51st and Center, and it ended due to a crash. And police say that the driver who was trying to get away actually crashed into another vehicle at that intersection, an innocent driver. And last night we talked with family members of that innocent driver, and they identified that innocent driver who unfortunately did pass away as a result of that crash. They say his brother was also in that car and is critically injured. So they identified him as Hassan Harris, we learned from the Milwaukee Medical Examiner this morning. An innocent person killed as a result of this chase. And then Derica, the wanted driver, actually ended up running after that crash. And we have checked in with Milwaukee police here to see if that driver has since been arrested. And we haven't heard back, but as of Saturday night, that driver is still wanted, ultimately ran away from that crash scene. And we're waiting to hear an update if that driver has been arrested or is in custody today, and haven't yet heard back. So wanted to kind of walk viewers through what happened. This was again on Saturday night. Yesterday, family held a vigil for their loved one at the site of that crash and say they want accountability for what happened here. And this, of course, brings up the topic of police pursuit policy, which I'm going to be getting into a little bit later today.
Christina, thank you very much for that update. It's just an unfortunate situation all around. I know this family is struggling, but this is one of a few deaths within the past month because of a police chase. So it'd be interesting to hear what you do hear from police about this. So we'll learn more a little bit later from you when you get on the news at Fox 6 at 4, 5, and 6. So thank you very much for your time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Derica.
Thank you. And that was just Christina Van Zeltz. That press conference is still going on right now. I want to take you back to that press conference. Thank you, Christina. I want to take you back to that press conference because they're just now getting into the crux of some of the issues that we're facing as we're trying to find shelter for those who are displaced. Once again, the city, the Red Cross, this task force is looking for additional resources and partners to help for those who need, whether it be heat, water, housing, all that. So let's get right back in it. But when we do come back, we'll have my colleague, Haley Spittler, that will be picking up the live desk. So I'm just going to pull that up right now. Just give me a couple of seconds. All right. Let's put that on. Oh, let's just pull it up.
And together, it takes a village to get this done, but together we can help solve and help each other out. So with that being said, thank you to you all, and thank you for being here.
So we appreciate your patience. We've only got 14 additional people to speak. I'm kidding. I am going to bring the plane in for a landing here. I want to point out one thing. Anybody can do this, right? Anybody can volunteer. Anybody can help. Right? And the American Red Cross is going to be very, very good at walking you through the process and making sure that your building that you might want to share is squared away, right? They got a real good program for that. So I just want to repeat the pivotal pieces of information here, and I think we've shared these digitally with you, and we probably got some hard copies for you. But if you think you have a shelter site potential, you can email Milwaukee Shelters, all one word, Milwaukee Shelters at redcross.org. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer, redcross.org/volunteer. Right on their website, big bold words, it says volunteer. And I would like to acknowledge that the Red Cross has also been hard at work relative to this flooding going on with getting immediate financial assistance out to folks. Even in advance of our federal partners who have been in town working with us. I cannot express with enough gratitude. Everybody's just taking time out of their busy days. People are doing incredible things on their own, and now to pull everybody in here so that we can amplify this message, it is going to help everybody. I would like to offer, quite frankly, since I just named some folks, but if anybody else would like to say anything, this would be a really good time because we're holding them hostage right now. So So if anybody would like to say anything, great, and if not, that's fine too. We'd be open for questions.
So flooding 2 weeks ago, did we have enough space? What was the space, what were the needs, and how much space?
So I turn it over to our Red Cross expert.
We're very grateful that Marshall High School opened up as a shelter location for us. And we, like others have said, the need for shelters only became more apparent during this flooding response as we struggled to find a location when school begins again, which is this week. We think we're nearing the finish line and locating someone as a shelter location, but please, if you have a site that you think would be good for a shelter, please, Milwaukee Shelters at redcross.org. We'd love to hear from you and talk more.
So that Marshall really kind of, you were able to house everybody?
We were, yeah, and Holler Park also stood up with us.
Thank you. Anything else?
For those who were affected by flooding, what are some of the first steps they need to do to get some assistance?
That's a fantastic question. I'm going to say the number one thing that we keep pushing everyone towards is 211. 211. Anybody can access it from anywhere, and it's one-stop shopping. It gets you right to whatever. Everybody's needs are a little bit different. It gets you right to the needs. So 211. Good. Thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for taking the time.
If you are just joining us, we were listening in there as the task force here in Milwaukee really put out a plea asking for more emergency shelters, asking for volunteers. Obviously, this flood has left many displaced and in need of somewhere to go, and this has kind of exposed a vulnerable area here in Milwaukee where we need more shelters to go to. We're listening there with the fire chief, with Milwaukee's mayor, as well as the new executive of the Red Cross. Yeah, a lot of very important information there. If you're just tuning in, obviously a new face here. I'm now taking over for Derica Haley Spittler here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We do have a lot more coming up on the feed, so I'm going to go ahead, take a quick break, and then we'll get you some more news. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is Monday. It is 1:34. My name is Haley Spittler. I know I'm a little bit of a new face here at the Wisconsin Live Desk. Just wanted to reintroduce myself this week. I'm the new Wake Up breaking news anchor here for Fox 6. So You'll catch me on air a lot in the mornings and then taking my turn here on the Wisconsin Live Desk occasionally. Well, if you're looking down, right next to my name, you'll see also the temperature, 65 degrees. We woke up this morning, in my opinion, to a treat. I'm sure some people might beg to differ if you're a fan of that summer heat, but I'm all about those fall temperatures. Taking a live look right here at the radar where it's looking pretty clear, but definitely a little windy. I'm here for the gust of winds. I personally got to pull out a little trench coat this morning because I needed one. I think I remember from Friday asking Delaney her favorite season. I believe you said fall, Delaney, so you're loving these temps too, right?
Yeah, it feels really nice today.
I know, I feel like you either love it or you hate it, but me personally, I am absolutely here for those colder temperatures. Well, hey, we are monitoring a couple of things on the feeds. If you were just listening before, we were getting the latest update on those Milwaukee floods as some emergency shelters needs popped up, asking for volunteers, asking for emergency site locations. So if you've been kind of watching all this wondering, hey, I wasn't that impacted, how can I help those who were? This could be a great opportunity for you to reach out to the Red Cross, whether you know of a location that could serve as an emergency shelter or you yourself could go and volunteer at one of these emergency shelters and help those who have been displaced by all of that flooding. I am monitoring some things going on here at the feeds. I think we're going to head out to Philadelphia. The city is providing an update on support and resources to riders. Really about how we're going to make sure that children, the youth are getting to school, especially amid kind of those vulnerable populations. So we're going to actually listen in for a little bit and get the latest here out of Philadelphia.
To make sure that all Philadelphians are familiar with them and that they are clear and understand them. And the first is that we can't forget that SEPTA is much more than a public transit system. It's the heartbeat of the economic engine for an entire city and region. It connects communities to jobs, to schools, healthcare, and opportunity. And there's no way to say it other than without it, our people will suffer. Sometimes we hear numbers and stats and we don't connect them to people, but that's important to me that you understand this. Over 700,000 people use SEPTA every day to get to work, to go to school, to go to medical appointments, to attend sporting events, just leisurely activities, and for many other reasons. An estimated, Dr. Wallington, and we checked it and rechecked it, 52,000 students take SEPTA every day to get to and from school in Philadelphia. Our own workforce, we estimate that 1,000 city employees will be significantly impacted by these SEPTA service reductions. And another issue near and dear to my heart, talk about the importance of never forgetting your real life lived experience. About 65,000 senior citizens ride SEPTA in Philadelphia every day to get to a doctor's appointment, to see their loved ones. In my case, for my grandfather, it was to get to the senior center or the adult daycare center. It is by far, SEPTA, the lifeline for our seniors. All of this is why the city of Philadelphia did the most impactful thing that we could do for SEPTA in June, when we passed our Philadelphia budget, 5-year plan, and our 6-year capital program that included $792 million in both operating and capital support for SEPTA. I just want to make sure everybody is with me, because Philadelphia, we're not always in a position when we face a crisis where we can stand up and proudly affirm that our homework is done. Let me hear you all repeat after me and say $792 million. $792 million. Our city stepped up to the plate. Legislative body, led by our city council president, Kenyatta Johnson, and all members of the City Council of Philadelphia, working in partnership with the Parker administration, We made sure we did what we knew we had to do in our budget process. Now, I want to add that our governor, Josh Shapiro, he gets it and he understands it 1,001%. He understands the urgency of the moment, and he understands that reliable and safe public transportation, that is crucial to our city and our Commonwealth's economic future. I want to say to Speaker Joanna McClinton, House Majority Leader Matt Bradford, Appropriations Chairman Jordan Harris, our Senate Appropriations Chair Vincent Hughes, our President Pro Tem Kim Ward, our Republican Senate Leader Pittman. I know that they get it too. And our ask is to encourage in the most supportive way that we possibly can them all to continue to stay at the table to help to deliver the critical funding that we need to keep the economic engine of southeastern Pennsylvania moving. I want you to know that we understand it, the sense of urgency at this moment. And when you hear us talk about that $792 million, I want you to know that for Philadelphia, that started for us in fiscal year 25. We included $133.3 million in our operating budget for SEPTA. And we didn't change that amount when the adopted state budget provided less funding for SEPTA that had been included in the governor's proposed budget. We could have reduced our funding during that time by about $15 million based on the adopted budget and the amount that the city is required to match state dollars. SEPTA's budget shows that in addition to the city's contribution, the match amount for operating costs for Pennsylvania's counties surrounding Philadelphia is about $28 million. Well, in this year's budget, because this is important to get the numbers on the record so that Philadelphians know that their tax dollars have been significantly invested in a mass transit system that keeps our city and our region going. This year's budget, the city has included $135 million in SEPTA subsidy in our operating budget. Overall, the contribution to SEPTA, operating and capital. Let me hear you say operating and capital. Operating and capital. Over our 5-year plan and our 6-year capital program is $792 million. Now, while SEPTA is responsible for providing transit service, our acting managing director and our deputy managing director for Otis, Mike Carroll here. Whenever you hear me talk about Mike Carroll, I had to tell people, yes, he's the subject matter expert. His name's not subject matter expert. His name is Mike Carroll, right? But Mike Carroll is our subject matter expert on transportation, and he is going to walk you through everything that the city is doing to mitigate the traffic impact, these service reductions on roads and streets that the city of Philadelphia is responsible for managing. He's going to walk you through all of that. We are collaborating with SEPTA, with the school district, universities, employers, nonprofits, and community groups to deploy alternative solutions and to do our best to minimize, to help to mitigate the disruption for our residents. But I want to be clear, in no way, shape, or form are the plans that you're going to hear about today. None of that can suffice for fully funded, fully operational at 100% capacity SEPTA. But what you are going to hear about is a comprehensive citywide effort that Mike is leading, which includes our Office of Transportation and Infrastructure Services, our Streets Department, our Commerce Department. Where's Deputy Commissioner Stanford? Commissioner? our police department, our neighborhood action centers located throughout the city to help traffic, parking, commuting, and safety measures that can help our people adjust and adapt. On today, we're urging all of our residents who rely on public transportation in their day-to-day living to devise a plan that if your route has been canceled or it's been cut back, don't delay. The service reductions are here. So for anyone, and I have to say this because I heard some people in the midst of all of this saying that, well, this is all a creation.
If you're just joining us, we've been listening into the latest out of Philadelphia while the city deals with some transportation service cutbacks. They were talking a lot about SEPTA there. That is the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transit Authority that actually on this first day of school for Philly is coming with a little bit of a commuting headache. That is because the transit system had to slash services by 20% yesterday after a $200 million budget deficit. Forced to cut services again. That's by 20% now, which includes slashing 32 bus routes, shortening 16 others. Sounds like as they continue this press conference, they're going to talk about some of those solutions, but it's being made very clear here. They say these have to be temporary, that SEPTA will not be able to continue if this is the permanent plan. But obviously, a lot of families can rely on public transportation to get their kids to school, to get themselves to work, to go about their day-to-day lives. And if your route was just completely canceled or shortened, it could definitely create that headache that they were talking about. That's what we've been listening into. I am going to stick with some more national news. We're actually going to head out right now to the White House, where we are waiting to see if the South Korean president leaves the White House. Earlier today, we saw him go to the White House. It was a very important meeting between the South Korean president and President Trump. A lot of different things discussed, but one thing that South Korea's president did ask of Trump was help bringing peace to the Korean peninsula. Obviously, a very contentious relationship there between South and North Korea, and Trump has often said he's pretty close to North Korea's leader, so we'll have to see if he can do anything about that. He also did speak on the latest of the Ukraine and Russia war, saying that it remains unclear if Putin and Zelensky will meet. Obviously, we heard from Zelensky last week in the Oval Office, making it clear he wanted to meet with both Trump and Putin after Trump and Putin met in Alaska the week before. It was the first time that Putin had been on U.S. soil in about 10 years. And it's been a busy day for President Trump. Before meeting with the South Korean president, he signed 4 executive orders out of the Oval Office. Or excuse me, it might actually been, no, 4. That include additional measures to address the crime emergency in the District of Columbia. We've seen Trump bring in the National Guard, now letting some of those National Guard members be armed. He also talked about prosecuting burning of the American flag. President Trump saying anybody who burns an American flag will have to serve 1 year in prison. And he said that will not be shortened. There will be no exceptions. That's what he signed in there. And then he also signed 2 different executive orders regarding an end to cashless bail as a way to protect Americans, he said, as well as to continue to enforce the law in the District of Columbia. Again, right now, we are waiting to see if we can catch the South Korean president on his way out. He's been meeting with President Trump for a couple of hours now. So we will continue to keep our eye on that. We're also monitoring a situation out of Arkansas. So I'm going to tell you all about that in just a few minutes, but we are going to take another really quick break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back into the Wisconsin Live Desk this Monday afternoon. It is now 1:50, which means we've got about another 40 minutes together as we monitor the feeds and see what news we can find and bring to you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Again, my name is Haley Spittler. I know I'm a newer face here on the Wisconsin Live Desk here on Fox Local. I just moved to Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago, and I'm very excited to be on the FOX6 team and to get to spend the occasional hour with you guys here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. I do want to head outside to a bit of serious news, actually. This is a live look in Arkansas. We're looking at the University of Arkansas there in the background, where the school recently posted on their Facebook saying, to avoid the area of Mullins Library due to an active shooter reported. They said avoid, deny, defend. That was an hour ago. And then just 6 minutes ago, they posted again on Facebook saying police are responding to multiple reports around campus. Continue to avoid, deny, defend. Right now, we do not know if there is an active shooter situation. That has not been confirmed. So we don't know if shots were fired. We don't know if anybody is hurt. Again, they're just responding to multiple reports around campus. And in very sad news, actually in the last week, we've seen a lot of college campuses deal with what ends up being fake calls for help, fake calls of these active shooter situations. I know we saw it at the University of South Carolina over the weekend out of Columbia. We saw it at UT at Chattanooga last week, at Villanova last week. Thankfully, in all three of those situations, there were no shots fired. There was no active shooter. They were false threats. We don't know the situation here yet out of the University of Arkansas. The RAS alert that the school sent out as of 7 minutes ago, the latest information we have, police are responding to multiple reports around campus. Continue to avoid, deny, defend. Always unfortunate when people... Again, we don't know, this could be a very real situation coming out of Arkansas, but when people waste the time and resources for those fake shooting calls that we saw last week, it takes up serious resources that these police officers could be spending other time at, and it creates a lot of fear around campus. So we are monitoring this situation out of the University of Arkansas. Again, all that we know right now are that police are responding to those multiple reports around campus. Again, it was the area of Mullins Library due to an active shooter reported. So we are going to continue to pay attention to the University of Arkansas and the information that they put out regarding this situation, and we'll see the very latest information and what we can bring to you guys here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We are also monitoring this press conference that should hopefully start a little bit soon. Obviously, they're still setting up for this. This is going to be Pam Bondi speaking to press, and we're also paying attention to the White House door because, as I mentioned, we're going to try and see if we can catch the South Korean president on his way out after meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office. So we've got a lot kind of going on here on the feeds, here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. And Delaney, I think it's important to talk about a very big event that's happening tomorrow for all of the coffee lovers out there, whether you're here in Wisconsin, whether you're in Philly, whether you're in DC, wherever you are. It is pumpkin spice latte season, just about. Not yet. You can't go today, but you can go tomorrow. We are very, very, very excited for this. At least I am. I can't speak for everybody. But yes, the Starbucks fall menu coming out tomorrow. I hope it's as early as when I wake up because I'm going to try and grab a PSL on my way to work. But they've also got some new items on the menu, including the pecan or pecan, depending on how you like to pronounce that, oat milk cortado, the Italian sausage egg bites, of course that PSL. They're also bringing back the pumpkin cream cold brew. So I have to ask Delaney, you know what I'm going to ask here. Do you like a PSL? Are you a pumpkin spice latte fan?
I do. I like the PSL, and I also like the iced pumpkin cream chai.
Yes, you and I both love a good chai, is what I've learned. I also really enjoy the pumpkin spice frappuccino, which I never go for a frappuccino, but for whatever reason, during the fall, I'm all about that pumpkin spice frappuccino, and then I just add a shot or two of blonde espresso, because again, I always need that caffeine boost. Yeah, this looks delicious. Okay, the next question then, is it too soon? Because that's what I'm hearing. Some people go, absolutely not, it's not fall yet, whereas other people would have been happy to have it 3 weeks ago. What are your thoughts there, Delaney?
I'm excited to have it, but I do think it's a little early. Like maybe waiting until at least September 1st. But I don't know.
Delaney, no. I thought Delaney and I were always going to see the same page, and this I've just learned is a drastic difference, Delaney, because I agree. I don't want it August 1st. I don't feel like it's fall then. You're still in the heat of summer. But the very tail end of August is when I think you're going back to school. It starts feeling like fall. You can't tell me it doesn't feel like fall outside right now. So I think it's time to get that PSL, because I've been waiting for it. I actually went to the grocery store this weekend and I got the Keurig PSL cups, and I also got the pumpkin spice creamer. So I made myself an at-home version of the PSL this morning, but I'm ready for the real deal. Starting tomorrow, you'll have to let me know on social media if you're a fan of the pumpkin spice latte, if you're not, if you think it's too early, if you're ready for it, lots of questions. But again, I mean, taking a look again outside, it feels like fall. It's 67 degrees. There's lots of wind in there. Thankfully, though, the sky is looking pretty dry. Let's see, I can actually probably get us a live look downtown. Let's see if that, oh, well, this one's looking at AmFam Field. As the Brewers, I don't know if they're playing tonight. They definitely played yesterday. They have that beautiful tribute to Bob Uecker. Let's see if we can find another shot downtown. There we go. Look at the clouds in the sky. I mean, I feel like it even looks like there's a chill in the air. You can't actually see that, but by taking this live camera and this live look in downtown Milwaukee, I think it looks like fall, even though there's nothing that's very autumn about this shot. I'm just very excited that it's 67 degrees and that I can get a pumpkin spice latte starting tomorrow. Well, hey, I'm going to continue to monitor the feed, see if anything pops up that we can bring you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Otherwise, I know we can talk lottery, because you have a chance to become like a millionaire if you want to go get your tickets for Powerball. So we got a lot to catch you up with. Coming back, we're going to take one more quick break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Stick with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the the Wisconsin Live Desk this Monday afternoon. Now it is 2 o'clock on the dot. I'm Haley Spittler. Again, I know I'm a newer face to the Wisconsin Live Desk, so for a few more days, I am going to introduce myself every time we come back from break. But again, my name is Haley. I just joined the Fox 6 team as their wake-up breaking news anchor, so you'll catch me a lot on Fox 6 in the mornings, and then occasionally when we're lucky, I'll be here on the Wisconsin Live Desk spending the afternoon with you guys. If you're new to the Wisconsin Live Desk, this show is 100% live. We really try and bring you the latest news both here in Wisconsin with some of our very own reporters, as well as across the country and sometimes even internationally. We monitor these feeds behind us, and when something happens, we bring it to you. As you can tell, it's a little quiet today, but we did actually just get in some breaking news kind of in the pop culture / court realm here. We're talking about Lil Nas X. If that name sounds familiar to you, he is a rapper. He had a very hit song several years ago called Old Town Road. Unfortunately, he was just charged with 3 felonies. This just came in. I'm going to read it out to you guys, but you might have actually seen last week this video popped up online of Lil Nas X kind of taking what people are calling a bizarre stroll through the Studio City area. That would be in LA, wearing nothing but underwear and cowboy boots. Then they say officers who responded to the scene believed he might have actually overdosed. So again, he was just charged with 3 felony counts. These are of battery against a police officer and a single count of resisting arrest. It all stems from last Thursday, where again, TMZ actually obtained that video of him walking around without a shirt, without a pair of pants, at one point even placing an orange traffic cone on top of his head. So several people saw this, felt like something was clearly off, so they reported it to the police. Again, when the police got there, it sounds like then Lil Nas X had some form of a battery against that police officer, so now he is facing that felony. We do know he was taken to an area hospital for a possible overdose. Upon his release, he was then arrested. He is due in court for his arraignment today. I don't know what time that would be. If it happens to pop up here during the Wisconsin Live Desk, we'll let you know. We'll keep looking for the latest on that. But again, just in kind of to the Wisconsin Live Desk here, rapper Lil Nas X charged with 3 felonies after, again, that just kind of bizarre stroll last week in LA. We are still continuing to monitor the feeds. This, again, is going to be a press conference that, if it starts in the next 28 minutes, we'll bring you live here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, expecting to hear from Pam Bondi. And this is actually, we just learned, it's going to be about El Mayo, who is a Mexican drug lord who we're told is now going to plead guilty. So this should be an update as he enters a guilty plea, hearing from Pam Bondi on the very latest of that. Again, we are also monitoring here in D.C. the White House, kind of the stakeout camera here, as we're going to see if we could potentially see when the South Korean president were to leave the White House. No sign of him yet. He was about 2 hours ago at this point meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office. They did take questions for quite a bit when he was in the Oval Office. And I know as I mentioned earlier, one thing he did was ask for President Trump's help in kind of finding peace between South and North Korea. So Trump said, hey, I've got a good relationship with North Korea. We'll see what we can do. So again, we are kind of waiting to see if we can catch the South Korean president on his way out. But for right now, he is still meeting with President Trump. All right, we're going to head out to Philly. We were listening to this press conference when it first began. Again, this is about SEPTA, which is the Southeastern Philadelphia Public Transit Authority, talking about how they had to just slash services yesterday by 20%. And today is the first day of school in Philly, which created quite a big headache. That 20% is because of a budget deficit of more than $200 million, and it meant that they had to completely cut 32 bus routes and shorten 16 others. So again, we are going to listen in here to see what we can learn. They talked about how they were going to provide some temporary solutions, but they really emphasized these need to be temporary. We cannot continue going at this rate. So let's see what they have to say.
For Act 89 that delivered over $450 million in recurring revenue for mass transit with SEPTA as a beneficiary. And I know what it's like when you're working in a highly charged, polarized, partisan environment. And when we got it done, we had a Republican Republican governor, a Republican-controlled House, and a Republican-controlled Senate. And so when people ask me what's the vehicle, Dr. Watlington, it reminds me of one of our first conversations that we had. And I said, whenever we are working on trying to ensure funding for the school district of Philadelphia, I felt the same way with Dr. Height. I never want a school board president or our superintendent having to engage in the business or the politics of deciding what happens there, because he's our educational subject matter expert, just like I feel about Mike Carl with technology. So I won't pick, Lauren, one or the other. I just don't want to put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. I know how valuable SEPTA is to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and it has a structural deficit. In Philadelphia, I want you to think about this. We knew what it was like when the school district was facing a structural deficit, and we needed to come up with a source for recurring revenue. And we did that when we were able to use sales tax revenue. For those of you who don't remember it, we increased the sales tax in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, here in the city of Philadelphia specifically. That was to generate over $120 million. Funny, Rob DeBoe, how these numbers, they live in my DNA. $120 million for the school district, and anything over and above that after we paid our debt service, it went to address the unfunded liability of our municipal pension system. And then we did the cigarette tax. And you know, we had to find a way, because SEPTA had now, is it a $10 billion capital backlog? $10 billion. So we're talking about keeping SEPTA running, and we're talking about the service cuts. What about SEPTA being safe? Just like we have to make repairs to our aging infrastructure, I want Philadelphians to recognize, in southeastern Pennsylvania and Pennsylvanians at large, to realize SEPTA has a $10 billion capital backlog. So how do we get there, Lauren? I don't know. But I know that our Philadelphia delegation legislators, and I want to say this to all of them, to those who are in leadership and to those who are members, thank you. We see you, we know what you're doing, and just figure out a way to try to get there. But whether it's going to, where the revenue source is going to come from, is it going to be short term? I have no idea, Lauren, but this is what I do know. I know that I've talked to almost every legislative leader. I know members of Congress, Congressman Dwight Evans, he's been on the phone. People have been working, calling folks inside of government, outside of government. Same strategy that we use. We just need everyone rowing and moving in the same direction in order to get there. But I won't choose one strategy over the other. Thank you for that question, Sean. So, Sean, I say it out loud, Sean.
Is there a price tag for how much the added supports that the city is paying for this vehicle costs?
Come on, Rob.
No, there isn't yet, Sean. I mean, we're still in the process of determining exactly what we have to do as we see what happens with commutes every day. So we don't have a number yet. Yeah, we have to, SEPTA has put something together, and we don't have it with us.
No, but one, Sean, I want to tell you the reason why I appreciate how you framed that question. That was extremely important to me. You said regional. You said regional. You didn't say Philadelphia, because this does not simply negatively impact Philadelphia. SEPTA is a regional asset, and you've heard us say over and over again, and that's one thing about the truth and facts. No matter how many times you tell them or where you tell them, if you tell the truth, they stay the same. 40% of the revenue that it takes to run the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is generated in southeastern Pennsylvania. And so now, you know, obviously this is new. We're just dealing with this. We hope it gets addressed immediately, but we have to quantify the fiscal impact. And so, Rob DeBoe, as soon as, Rob, when you're finishing your statement, the first thing you say is, even as we figure out what we can do to try to help our students, Dr. Watlington, get to school, because they can't get back the learning loss. When Dr. Watlington, when the principal tells you maybe 90% he was hoping for, expecting, but because of our transit challenges, he's seen a bit of a decline in those numbers. Our young people who aren't in school, Sean, they can't buy that time back. And so we want people to remember that sense of urgency, and we will quantify, Sean. We will quantify the impact on the city of Philadelphia, and SEPTA, we're sure will come up with an analysis on how it has impacted economically in the region. Good question. Yeah, I'm sorry.
If you're just joining us again, we've been kind of dipping in and out of this press conference that's happening right now in Philadelphia with SEPTA, which is the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transit Authority. They're talking about how yesterday they had to cut back on their routes by 20% due to being in a budget deficit of $200 million. They say 32 bus routes were canceled, 16 others were shortened, and today also happens to be the first day of school in Philadelphia. And we were just hearing right there, principals reporting that where they expected the attendance number to be in, that it's lower. And here in the press conference, they're saying that's due to SEPTA. I mean, a lot of families rely on public transportation to get to and from where they need to be, including students who are trying to get to school. So again, we've been monitoring this press conference out of Philadelphia. We will keep our eye on it. If anything big happens, we will bring that to you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Another situation that we've been monitoring is out of Arkansas. We're taking a live look at the University of Arkansas, where police right now are responding to multiple reports around campus. So we learned about an hour ago that a RAS alert emergency notification went out around all of campus from the University of Arkansas, saying to avoid the area of Mullins Library due to an active shooter reported. They said avoid, deny, defend. Now, about half an hour ago, the update they posted to the University of Arkansas Facebook page was police are responding to multiple reports around campus. Continue to avoid, deny, defend. So we are still waiting to see any other updates from the University of Arkansas. Again, nothing has been confirmed. All we know right now are police are responding to reports of an active shooter potentially around the Mullins Library area. That has not been confirmed. So I'm keeping my eye very closely on this Facebook page of the University of Arkansas to see if they post any updates. Again, the advice has been avoid, deny, defend. That's pretty similar to the strategy of run, hide, fight, which basically says if you can get away in a situation like that, get away. Get as far away from the threat as you possibly can. If you can't, the next best thing they say to do is to hide. You want to not be presented anywhere close to that active shooter if there is an active shooter. And finally, they always say to fight. If you have to, go up, fight, try to get that weapon away from them. So right now, that's the advice the University of Arkansas is giving out, is avoid, deny, defend. Again, nothing has been confirmed yet, but we do just know that police are responding to multiple reports around campus. So we're keeping our eye on that. We did last week see a series of false reports of active shooters around college campuses around the country, from South Carolina to Tennessee. We saw it at Villanova. So right now we don't know if there is an active shooter or not at the University of Arkansas, and that's why we're really trying to pay attention and see if we can get any official updates to you. Again, we do have some other local stories to potentially check in on. I continue to monitor the feed, see if there's anything to bring you. We still have about 15 minutes together here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, which we will continue to do after we take a quick 2-minute break. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk this Monday afternoon. I am Haley Spittler coming to you live out of Milwaukee. And now we get to talk about something I think is fun, which is the chance to become a 750 millionaire. I don't even know the proper way to say that because you're 750 times more than just a millionaire. That's right, the Powerball jackpot has grown to $750 million. This is the 10th largest prize in the lottery's history. It comes after no winning tickets were sold in the latest drawing. So yeah, no one matched the numbers on Saturday. So now the next drawing is tonight. So if you're thinking, it would be kind of nice to be a $750 million person. Again, millionaire. I don't know the proper term to even say that. Go get your Powerball ticket on your way home from work. I'm trying to think about what I would even do with that amount of money. And I do recognize that you would not walk home with $750 million. A huge chunk of that would go to taxes. But I mean, even if I had $300, $400 million, what would I do? I think I would obviously be responsible. I would pay off like student loans, car payments, all of that. But then I would definitely buy a nice home with a backyard for my pup. His name is Zobrist. And I would definitely start just like traveling the world. I have been lucky enough to go to Asia. I have been to Seoul, I have been to Japan, but I've never actually gone to Europe. So I think that's where I would probably go and vacation. Delaney, if you were to win the Powerball tonight, what are you gonna do with the winnings?
I'd definitely go on a vacation.
Okay.
I think maybe Europe. I'd also maybe want to go to Africa and go on a safari.
Yeah.
And then I'd, of course, be responsible. Pay off loans, car payments.
I love this for us. If you win the lottery, will you take me with you on your European adventure?
Yeah, definitely. You'd have to go with friends.
Absolutely. Delaney, are you saying that we're friends? It went silent. I guess Delaney's not saying that we're friends.
We're definitely friends.
Oh my gosh, I feel so honored. You know what else you could do? If you won the Powerball, you could go see as many Brewers games as you wanted. You could probably get season tickets, unless it's like getting season tickets to the Packers where you have to actually join a very long wait list. I don't know if that's a situation or not with the Brewers. But with that kind of money, you could certainly buy somebody else's season tickets off of them. I know I was asking earlier if the Brewers had a game today, so I looked it up for you. That's what we do here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We bring you the latest. We bring you the information you need. The Brewers do have a game. They're still at home, so they'll be playing here at AmFam Field. They're now going to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. So this game is tonight at 6:40. The Brewers are coming off 2 losses to the San Francisco Giants. They did take the first game of that 3-game series. Then they lost Saturday and Sunday, but it's okay. Your Brewers, and I say your Brewers because if you didn't catch on based on my dog's name, Zobrist, I unfortunately am a Cubs fan. But your Brewers are first in the National League Central still. So they still are doing just fine. I think they're 5 games up. They've got a good, significant lead there, and hopefully they're going to come back today, get some more wins against the Diamondbacks. Delaney, I already know the answer to this. She would probably not necessarily buy season tickets to the Brewers because she likes to go more for social purposes, and the food is what we learned last week on the Wisconsin Live Desk. But I would happily go to a Brewers game here or there. Just know that if they're playing the Cubs, I will be wearing my Cubs jersey. Otherwise, I mean, it's hard for me to want to cheer for the Brewers right now when they have dominated the National League Central, but I'm here in Milwaukee, and I'll happily cheer for your team. I'll also happily cheer for your basketball team. I'm fully ready to hop on the Bucks bandwagon. That I can absolutely promise you that we can do. All right, we are going to take one last final break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and then coming up, we've got some more information if you were affected by the flooding here in Milwaukee. Maybe you are needing some funds, some additional resources. We've got some information, whether you're looking, again, for funds, maybe you're looking for somewhere to go, maybe you're looking for somewhere to bring all of your damaged items. We're going to bring you the very latest on that, as well as continue to monitor the feed, see if we can find anything else that's popping up here. It's been a little bit of a slower day on the Wisconsin Live Desk, but that's okay, because we got to talk about pumpkin spice lattes. If you missed it, maybe we'll talk about that again one last time before we go. But for now, we'll be back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. We've got about 7 more minutes together today, this Monday afternoon. I'm Haley Spittler. I'm one of the newer faces here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, but hopefully you've enjoyed your 2 hours of news between Derica and myself, but it's not quite over. We've got just a little bit more that we're going to recap, especially if you are here in Milwaukee. We're taking a live look right now downtown Milwaukee, where I know I said it the other day, but I always, when I see like a crystal blue sky that the clouds aren't moving in, I always just think it reminds me of Toy Story. It's a Toy Story cloud, in my opinion. Right now, it is nice and it is dry here in downtown Milwaukee, but obviously we saw historic flooding a few weekends ago that we continue to recover from as a community. We brought you some live updates from a press conference earlier in Wild, or the Wisconsin Live Desk, sometimes we like to call it Wild, regarding the need for emergency shelters. We heard the ask from the Red Cross that if you have a site that could serve as an emergency shelter here in Milwaukee, or if you are somebody that could give your time to volunteer at an emergency shelter, they really, really need you. If you could reach out to them. Really, they say so many people were displaced from this flooding, not just, you know, the inconvenience of not having your power, but their entire homes, or a lot of their homes being completely destroyed, that they're not able to live there anymore, and now they need somewhere else to go. That was kind of their big call to action. I do want to run you through a couple of other resources that we've learned about. So let's talk about the Red Cross outreach. So the financial assistance for people whose homes were destroyed or severely damaged, they're about to be able to begin outreach. This is the Red Cross. So they will be reaching out starting Tuesday. You will get an invitation to apply. So if you qualify for their assistance, which is going to be some financial assistance, you're going to get that invitation to apply. You can call 1-800-RED-CROSS if you have any questions. So if your home was destroyed or severely damaged, reach out to them, see if you can get the ball rolling on these potential funds. We are still waiting here in Milwaukee to see if we will qualify for FEMA funding. We thankfully had our very own Jason Calvi join us several times on the Wisconsin Live Desk last week, both before FEMA was boots on the ground, during FEMA being here and kind of doing their assessment, touring their damage, as well as afterwards. Still some more steps in that process to go, but hopefully at some point this week we can find out if that natural disaster declaration can be made, which would then kind of trigger the FEMA funding. So we're keeping our eyes on that. We also do have a couple other resources we can talk about when it comes to the Milwaukee flooding cleanup. So if you have some damaged items, think maybe your couch or your carpet you had to rip up that was just absolutely ruined because of the flooding, curbside pickup and drop-off has been extended. There are some services now until August 31st, which should give you about another week to do this. I think that's till Sunday. So this is a free bulky item pickup. You can also go to the drop-off centers. We have those addresses there on your screen. That is 3879 West Lincoln and 6660 North Industrial. Again, this is where you can bring some of those really big items that were destroyed due to the flooding. I do want to just note, we did hear from Mayor Cavalier Johnson on Friday that unfortunately some people seem to be using and abusing this service. This is really for those who are flood victims. These are for those flood damaged items, not for you to be like, oh, I've got this couch that I've been meaning to get rid of, let me go dump it off. That's not what this is for. These services, these drop off and pickups, they are for flood damaged items. So try and keep that in mind as well. A couple other things we can talk about here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We've been staking out. We might have missed it because the car is now not there. We were hoping to catch the South Korean president on his way out. He was meeting with President Trump earlier today. We heard from the two of them actually as they met with media in the Oval Office. But a big thing that came out of this was South Korea's president asking for Trump's help bringing peace to the Korean peninsula. Obviously that again would be North Korea and South Korea. As I mentioned earlier in the show as well, it's been a pretty busy day in the White House. President Trump also signing 4 executive orders out of the Oval Office this morning. which included some additional measures to address the crime emergency in the District of Columbia. That had to do with the National Guard and some training there, as well as prosecuting burning of the American flag. Trump says if you are to burn an American flag, you are going to spend a year in jail, no exceptions. And then he also took some steps to end cashless bail, he says, as a way to protect Americans. And then he also said he wanted to really enforce that law in the District of Columbia. So again, 4 executive orders that we saw signed out of the Oval Office earlier this morning. The other thing that we've been paying attention to that I don't think we're going to be able to catch here on the Wisconsin Live Desk is this press conference that we are expecting from Attorney General Pam Bondi. We're going to hear the latest from El Mayo pleading guilty. That is a Mexican drug lord. We were hoping to see if we could maybe dip into that, but again, I don't think we're going to be able to do it today. The good news is that I'm sure you can continue to find that on Live Now coming up next here on the Fox local app. So if you really want to listen into that, you still have the option to. Otherwise, it has been a very kind of busy 2 hours here on the Wisconsin Live Desk between Derica and myself. Of course, thanks so much for tuning in. Oh my gosh, I almost left before the biggest announcement. Reminder, don't forget, you can go get your pumpkin spice latte starting tomorrow. Some Starbucks open as early as 4:30. Don't say I never helped you guys out. That's a big reminder there for you coffee lovers. Hey, that's going to do it for us today. We will see you back here tomorrow, the Wisconsin Live Desk, starting at 12:30.